All right, folks. So we're going to be doing a little bit of a sort of a explanation here of what's going on with the Working Families Party. So the Working Families Party is basically a minor political party. You know, it's got some chapters in some areas, and it gave out its endorsement for this election cycle, and it chose Elizabeth Warren, which is super weird because obviously the number one fighter for workers is Bernie Sanders. So it really doesn't make any sense whatsoever that they would choose to endorse Elizabeth Warren over Bernie Sanders. And so there were like 5,000 responses to this tweet. People were pissed, man. They were angry, and rightfully so. She does not deserve this endorsement, and there's a lot of shady stuff going on. So if you don't know, back in 2016, Bernie won, I believe, with 87% in his favor. So that makes it even weirder as well. But, you know, they have gotten some things wrong. They endorsed Crowley over AOC, which was weird. And they chose Zephyr Teachout's, opposer as well. So this is just super, super weird, as you guys can see. It says they endorsed Democratic candidate Elizabeth Warren. Now, this was actually some good stuff from CNN, which I know doesn't happen very often. But they had on, I guess, who is the national director for the Working Families Party. And Chris Cuomo had him on, and he grills him. Let's hear it out.
Joining me now. Pleasure to see you.
Pleasure, Chris. Thanks for having me.
So, why Warren and not Sanders?
So let me just first say that it's 2019, and we have two structural change, big, bold, progressive candidates that have built huge grassroots followings in the democratic process.
But you picked one. Why?
Right. And so our grassroots members and our volunteers and our state committee, we engaged in a very long process, and we came out. And I'm so proud of the process and so proud that we chose Elizabeth Warren. And let me tell you why. So, I mean, if you look at her, you know, they joke about she has a plan for it, right? But if you look at it and you take a step back, so Green New Deal, so we could save the planet. A historically big picture housing policy. Medicare for all, to take the insurance companies between you and your doctor, right? So healthcare could be a right and not a commodity that's traded,
Bernie
right?
does the same things,
Right.
and he wrote the damn bill.
That's absolutely right. And we have so much respect for Bernie and his followers. And in 2016, we endorsed Bernie. In 2020, you have a field of dozens of candidates. And so we wanted to engage in a process that was deeply democratic, where we could decide early what to do, even as the field was still shaking out. The reason we did it is because that time is one resource that when you lose it, you never could recoup it.
Fine. So what was the difference between the two with so much sameness?
So what I could talk about positively is why we endorsed Warren. And again, like I have nothing but positive things to say about Bernie, his followers, and his movement. And I think it's a plus for working people, the people that we represent, that we have two candidates that are advancing this. And I think, you know, you saw the debate stage where they flanked each other, right? And so we want to encourage that with, you know.
All right, that's pretty much all they need to see from the video there. But dude, I could not believe this when I saw this. And I guess thank you and shout out to Chris Cuomo for grilling this dude this hard. Because, like, yo, what are you saying, dude? Do you have, like, you see someone who's, like, so well, like, carried and he's sort of good at articulation and stuff. And you just hear what he's actually saying. And you're just like, yo, what on God's green earth are you saying? Did you hear this guy? This man said Green New Deal. The Green New Deal came from AOC. AOC is a sort of prodigy of Bernie Sanders. Without Bernie Sanders, there is no AOC. AOC is basically, you know, sort of a Bernie protege. So I said prodigy earlier. Sorry, I meant protege. She's a, you know, just a prototype of Bernie Sanders. Literally, she doesn't exist without Bernie. She got into politics because of Bernie. She volunteered for his campaign. No Bernie, no AOC, no Green New Deal. And then he says, housing plan. Warren's housing plan is like the most garbage thing I've ever seen. I think the goal was like to get it down. I forgot even what it was, like 10% over, I don't know, 4 to 8 years or something like this. Something ridiculous. It was terrible. The housing plan sucked. And Bernie actually had just came out with, investing money into basically building more affordable homes, etc., etc. And he has done multiple things on that front, so that didn't make any sense either. Bernie's plans are far better than Elizabeth Warren's plans when it comes to housing. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And then the cream on the cake, or whatever you want to call it, the topping on the cake, the frosting on the cake, is that he said Medicare for all. This man said Medicare for all as a citation for why they endorsed Warren over Sanders. The man who entirely is due the credit for making Medicare for all what it is now, known as a policy, proposed in the Senate, making it mainstream, okay? That is what Bernardino Sanders has done. Elizabeth Warren deserves zero credit for that. Not only that, she's waffled on it nonstop, over and over. I just saw a comment like today or the other day where she's like, oh, I like it. There's a lot of good plans that I support. Shut up, bro. It's M4A or none, dude. That's it. That's what it is. So this is the problem here. Literally none of what this dude just said, none of what Maurice just said made any sense, because every single thing that he stated is Bernie's cornerstone. And I love that he said that. And I'm glad Chris Cuomo, really sort of grilled him on that, simply for the fact that he made my argument for me. I don't even need to make my argument anymore because, although I just did. But I don't even need to really make an argument anymore because he just laid out every single reason why Bernie's better than Warren. So I don't even need to make that argument anymore. I don't need to, fold that out because he just made it for me. M4A, GND, housing plan, all of that good stuff. That's all Bernie. All the ideas that Warren is hopping on a trend of, he started that ish. That's what he started. He's the one who put out the bills. He's the one proposing those bills in the Senate. I believe he was the one who proposed the bill of making college education free as well. So, that I think Warren signed on to, but I forgot the deets of that, though. This is truly remarkable to me. I could not believe this when I saw it. I was like, wow, this guy is a shady dude. And it's really, kind of scary because he carries himself so well. He looks like a bit of a shiesty guy. Now, here's where things get shady, which is what I talked about earlier, okay? Dave Weigel sent out a tweet saying, the Working Families Party endorsement of Warren is not surprisingly irritating to some Sanders supporters. Warren's 60.9% win combined two totals, a vote by Working Families Party leaders, and an online member vote. Each of those counted for 50% of the total, but WFP won't release the separate tallies. This is where it starts to get shady, folks. This one says, for what it's worth, in 2015, WFP released the results of the online membership survey, 87% for Sanders. Now, I wonder if in that one they did one of the WFP leaders or not. I'm not sure, obviously. But if we go down here, this is where it gets even crazier. It says, I talked to WFP's National Director, Maurice Mitchell, earlier, and he made clear that the group won't release separate vote totals. Quote, for there to be one true vote, and to maintain the nature of secret ballot, all of that went into the back end. Yo, that's not the principle of secret ballot. That's not the principle of secret ballot, dude. That's not what it is. Imagine being like, oh yeah, Donald Trump won the election, but we're not going to release the vote totals because that's not going to give true secrecy. What are you talking about? That's not, giving out vote totals is not a compromise of ballot secrecy. What that tells me is basically you're trying to do like some sort of a weird superdelegate coup, where you're co-opting and you're doing a coup of the democratic process in your own party. So what is clear is if you're not going to release the numbers, we know it's fraudulent automatically, because otherwise you'd release the numbers and you'd show us like, hey guys, this was not rigged. It was legit. It was a legit democratic process. But no, you ain't releasing it. So I'm calling bogey on this, all right? You guys are frauding this big time. And again, if each of those counts for 50% of the total, that's ridiculous. That just means that literally means that the leaders counted for 50%. So you're talking about not a real democratic process. This is not a fair democratic process. This is a fraudulent action that, trust me, folks, the mainstream media loves Elizabeth Warren with all their heart. Do you know why? Because she's not bringing structural change. In fact, who knows if she's even going to do any of the things that she proposes, especially considering that she's going to be taking, PAC money as well as big fundraiser dollars in the general election. As soon as you take that money, you're corrupted, and I can't trust you anymore. So how am I supposed to even trust her to get any of those things that she's already proposed done? But she is not, again, I have to repeat, she's talking to Hillary Clinton behind the scenes, A. B, she is sending letters to the Democratic establishment behind the scenes, on the DL, under the table, letting them know, hey, folks, I'm not here to break the system like Bernardino is. I want to lead the Democratic Party. I'm not looking for a major change to change the rules of the system. So what you can basically chalk this up to is the superdelegates in this Working Families Party, which is the leaders, overrode the actual members, which is sad because that is very undemocratic. And that Maurice guy is a complete fraud, and so is the Working Families Party. Show how pissed off you are. Cancel your recurring donations if you have them. Unfollow them on Twitter if you're following them. Really express your distaste for their fraudulent behavior, and really let them know, because we need to let them know you guys made a big mistake.